More countries are joining in to support the global Samud flotilla going to the Gaza Strip, now with Greece confirming that they're joining in to help every one of these boats in its territories. The position of Greece is a little bit different than, for example, Italy and Spain, who confirmed that they will be siding with them, not far off, helping them up until they reach the Gaza Strip, with a level of uncertainty in relation to the point where they will be reaching the Gaza Strip and if there are any sort of acts of aggression and hostility and terrorism from the Israeli side. This is showing that, well, more countries are becoming more and more serious about this move. That, however, did not stop a suspicious airplane from coming next to some of these boats in the Mediterranean. There was published showing these fighter jets, unknown. Again, they did not confirm that. It looks like an F-16. Many countries have F-16s. If it's not known, well, it could be several countries, but there's a very high likelihood that, of course, it is Israel. Again, however, there is likelihood that it could be any other country too. Okay, this again is proving that the situation is escalating and these moves are being taken seriously. As a matter of fact, there was also a confirmation that a Turkish warship was listening to some of the calls for assistance from the groups and some of the boats in the Mediterranean, and they confirmed that they listened to them. They had feedback with them back and forth. This, mind you, was confirmed on one account online called Clash Report, but the staff, according to the translation in that report, said that the Turkish warship listened immediately, and they said that we're here to assist you. Then when it got darker, they saw it from a distance. So we have in total so far 4 ships, 4 countries in the Mediterranean supporting the Samud flotilla, each country in its own capacity and without too many clarifications in relation to how far they'll go in protecting these ships. This is a very significant move. These are very significant developments, and they're not to be taken lightly, because Israel would have to consider every single step from now moving on up until these boats reach the Gaza Strip. And some of the people in Gaza now are showing more signs of hope that they will actually reach, with these reports that they are helping them. Some of the countries are helping them in the Mediterranean before they reach to the Gaza Strip. Alongside all of that, some more statements are coming now from global leaders about the situation in Gaza, and they're becoming more and more escalatory. Let's have a look at what the Pakistani leader had to say.
Palestine can no longer remain under Israeli shackles. It must be liberated, and liberated with full commitment and full force.
Full commitment and with full force. We have more and more leaders talking about the use of force with Israel. And after the statement that the Colombian president made, more and more countries are finding it easier to talk about the fact that there's going to be a military intervention, or the prospect of a military intervention, some sort of use of force against the state of Israel. This is coming simultaneously with a lot of talk coming from Western media and also Israeli media about this proposal coming from Donald Trump for Benjamin Netanyahu to finish the war, finish the genocide in Gaza, and have an all-out deal. But there are so many problems in these talks and in the publications that are coming out. because of so many conflicting things coming in. Some of them will tell you he's looking for an all-out deal. He wants to release all of the prisoners of war immediately. Some of them are saying it's going to be stages. It's not going to be a complete all-out deal. All sorts of talk. Everything is all over the place. The only thing that was substantial from Donald Trump was yet another statement. But then again, another statement coming from Donald Trump means absolutely nothing, because the man made many statements that he himself did a U-turn on many times before. That means that there is no serious prospect of something happening, judging by the record of Donald Trump and his relationship with Benjamin Netanyahu, especially after all of these letdowns and him allowing Benjamin Netanyahu to get away with murder 24/7, and Donald Trump and other countries too buying Israel more and more time. Now, despite all of that, Israel is concerned. Benjamin Netanyahu is concerned. Israel is concerned, and they are relentless in their campaign to take down the activism on social media, which clearly broke the narrative and accomplished a huge triumph over Zionism and the mass media propaganda. Listen to what Benjamin Netanyahu had to say when he had a meeting with some of these so-called influencers inside of the United States. That was some of them, again, trying to push for the Israeli narrative. But listen to what he had to say in this meeting in particular.
Food Party are cut from the same ideological cloth as Trump and the GOP in America. And so specifically with Charlie Kirk's assassination, who was a big mentor of mine, who's my first mentor in the space, evangelicals, from all my research, evangelicals are the reason that Israel has been supported in public sphere outside of just Jews. So with Charlie's assassination and with the kind of trajectory that we see with like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, I guess I'm curious about what's another game plan if we lose evangelical support for the state of Israel. What's our backup plan to be strong, like outside of the diaspora?
Christian influencers. Okay, you said you talked about the woke right, and you said I call it the woke Reich. That's a brilliant observation. The woke Reich, because these people, they're not any different from the woke left. I mean, they're insane. They're movies, but they're actually meeting on some of the things. And what we have to do is we have to secure that part of the base of our support in the United States. That is being challenged systematically. A lot of this is done with money of NGOs, vast, money of governments, vaster. Okay, we have to fight back. How do we fight back? Our influencers. I think you should also talk to them if you have a chance. To that community, they're very important. And secondly, we're going to have to use the tools of battle. The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well. Okay, and you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged. And the most important ones are in social media. And the most important purchase that is going on right now is TikTok. TikTok, number one. And I hope it goes through because it can be consequential. And the other one, what's the other one that's most important? X. That's very good. And, so we have to talk to Elon. He's not an enemy. He's a friend. We should talk to him. Now, if we can get those two things, we get a lot. And I could go on other things, but that's not the point right now. We have to fight the fight, okay? To give direction to the Jewish people and give direction to our non-Jewish friends or those who could be our Jewish our friends. Are we going to succeed with everyone? No. Will there be a strong counterpoint? Yes.
Benjamin Netanyahu is clearly confirming in this video here the level of impact that social media has And this is yet another dangerous confirmation about the Israeli interference in the purchasing of TikTok and the fact that it's not really a concern to do with the United States. And like the United States is portraying it to be, a Chinese threat. All of that is about Israel yet again. There was a post, a very interesting one, coming from WikiLeaks in that regard, speaking about the sides behind this purchase, who they are, and what they're exactly planning to do. Now, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu made it clear that he's going to be following X afterwards. Clearly, Elon Musk and X, they've crossed some lines in relation to Israel, despite this propaganda tour that Elon Musk went on, but they're on a mission. This was the post from WikiLeaks. Israel-aligned billionaires seize TikTok in battle for U.S. narrative control. And here they're talking about Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison, the largest individual donor to the IDF, will take control of U.S. user data and the algorithm, which the White House says will be retrained. Ellison, who made his fortune developing Oracle, a database system he originally built for the CIA, already controls CBS, Paramount, MTV, Comedy Central, Showtime, Nickelodeon, as well as Channel 10 in Australia and Channel 5 in the UK. As a matter of fact, in the UK, he was aligned with the Tony Blair Institute to gather all of the information in regards to the NHS, because according to him, they have a lot of information dating back to 1948. This post continued. Disapproval of what Israel is doing in Gaza has risen to 60% of the US population, nearly double the approval rate of 32%. The US has still over 3 years of Trump left. Israeli-aligned Jewish billionaires control OpenAI, Google, Meta, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Palantir, CBS, HBO, and most of Condé Nast, Reddit, Vogue, The New Yorker, Wired, GQ, Vanity Fair, as well as numerous Hollywood studios. So we're talking about something very significant here. And the Israelis and the Israeli lobby in the United States, primarily Jonathan Greenblatt, who is the head of the ADL, the director of the ADL, he made a statement in the Israeli Knesset that they also published in this post. Let's hear what he had to say.
We must, you must, take this deadly seriously. Pushing extremists off Wikipedia might not seem equal to the challenge of pushing Hezbollah north of the Litani River. Capturing TikTok might seem less meaningful than holding on to Mount Hermon. Libelous tweets certainly might seem less deadly than missiles from Yemen. But this is urgent because the next war will be decided based on how Israel and its allies perform online as much as offline.
Clearly, these people are very bothered and they are on a mission to take control over most of the social media platforms. TikTok was very well known to have more leniency with people posting, was more organic. Now, what they want to control here, or what they want to manipulate to be more accurate, is the algorithm, an algorithm that should have a level of free range to what it attracts and what it projects to people, what it offers people to see based on their interests. They're clearly going to embed certain things here on TikTok that will drag certain traffic towards either people who are supportive of the Palestinian cause, and I personally don't like the term pro-Palestinian. These people are pro-human rights. This case is a humanitarian case first and foremost, but they want to portray it as if there's a group of people who only support the Palestinians. Of course they're going to support the Palestinians because the Palestinians are the oppressed side going through a genocide. But Israel wants to manipulate all of this. Now, despite these attempts, that doesn't mean that Israel is going to succeed on the battle for social media for various reasons. Number one, for each and every platform, there is an alternative. Social media outlets in the past 2 years, they started to stretch the boundaries of criticism in relation to Israel. Certain subjects that were considered to be a big no-no or crossing the red line or even the black line became less of a red line or a black line. People started to speak more about certain subjects that were considered a taboo before, because they realized that if they would prevent people from speaking about these subjects in a very educational manner, straightforward manner, they're going to be diverting all of their users to other platforms too. And at the end of the day, they are concerned about connecting with their users, keeping their users with them, so that they can have more influence and more exposure and eventually make more money. And on that front, Israel spends enormous amounts of money that it doesn't disclose already on things such as advertising, blackmailing, and also bribing many of these influencers that either Benjamin Netanyahu spoke with or sat with, or also on advertisements on even my videos on YouTube, for example, or other channels who speak about this subject. But the short story is, the short moral of the story is, Benjamin Netanyahu has just admitted that Israel has been defeated in the social media battle. Firstly, they're considering this to be a very important war, which it is. They are clearly not holding back and trying to again have more influence in social media, like they have this almost total control in mainstream media. However, this also proves that the people, the users of social media, who go for social media for the real news, for the actual facts on the ground, for the unfiltered messages, for the direct messages and information and facts on the ground, to be more aware. Because if Israel controls a company like TikTok tomorrow, for example, and starts implementing or manipulating certain algorithms to go in a certain direction, you need to be aware that this has been manipulated to control you. And it's way too late for Israel. Even if you're going to see a whole feed full of Zionist propaganda, at the end of the day, users will still have control over what they see and what they don't see. What they would try to do is also ban certain people, especially if they would have significant control over the content that's being pushed, rather than just the algorithm, because they're portraying this as a case of algorithm and algorithm control. It's beyond that. Then they would potentially start to ban people, which is again something that will not stop the revolution that social media brought, despite the already pre-existing suppression elements inside of social media as well.